What up, guys? This is Coach Vassar. We're doing the OTF Audio Daily Beats. Thank you for tuning in. If you're new to these, I'm going to give a little breakdown of the workout and kind of go over the treads, rower, weight floor, any differences in the 3G. If you found value in these, of course, information and description on how to support me, just buy me a coffee. Completely optional, you don't have to, but I appreciate if you do. Of course, any feedback, love to hear it, what your thoughts are. And how I can improve on these to give you more information or better experience when it comes to listening in. We're going to go over Saturday, October 5th. This will repeat on Friday, October 18th. We're going to see endurance on the treads, power on the rower, and endurance on the weight floor. On the 2G, this is also a timed-based, coach-directed run row. So as far as key concepts go, we're going to see 7 blocks between the treads and rowers, switching between them, aiming to match your tread intensity and beat your row distance. On the floor, we'll also have 7 blocks, alternate between add and reps in one block, core exercises in the next. As far as setup goes, if you're able to leave wipes out on the rowers, if you have 2 groups, so that way after the rowers are done with their 3-minute row for their warm-up, they'll wipe it down and then they'll head over to the weight floor, and that way when the treads are going back and forth, they have a clean rower to come to. As we look at the left side of the template here, we're gonna alternate between the treads and the rowers. You'll be on the rower a total of 3 times, treads 4 times. Each block is exactly the same. So for the treads, endurance, we are doing a 3-minute push into a 30-second all out, and that's it. After that, they have a 45-second transition to get to the rower and get ready for 90 seconds of rowing. On the tread itself, for that 3-minute push, power walkers 4% or greater, joggers, runners, we're looking for anywhere from 1 to 2 as always on that base speed. And then bikes and striders, probably 3 gears over base, nice and simple. Keep those RPM 60 to 100. And then for that 30-second all out, they're gonna bump it up 2 or more over base, power walkers 10% or greater, and then 6 gears over base for bikes and striders. Ideally, they're able to hit those same numbers every round. As a challenge, they could increase them every time they come back to the treads, whether that's an increase on the push or an increase on the all out. Increase on the push will definitely challenge members a lot more, since they'll be holding a new speed for 3 minutes as opposed to just 30 seconds. So if anything, this might be an opportunity for people to close the gap between their uncomfortable and very uncomfortable for the day. 45 seconds to get them to the rowers. It's gonna be very quick hustle and bustle. So that's something you can kind of reiterate in your lobby intro. I always like to use the phrase of, you might wanna wait, but the workout's not gonna wait for you. When they head to the rower, use a 90-second countdown, and you'll cue them to take off altogether. It's gonna be a 30-second build. They'll start at a push, and then go to a push all out, and then finish with an all out effort row. No true call outs on how to gauge them, whether stroke rate, wattage, split time. Personally, I'm a fan of using split time for any longer rows over a minute, just because it gives time for the split time to kind of settle in with their rhythm. They could also go off a stroke rate. Maybe they start at about 26 to 28 for that push, and they go up by 1 to 2 when they go to the push all out, and then go up another 1 to 2 for that the all out itself. With the total of 90 seconds on the row, we're going to be seeing probably around 300 to maybe 450 plus meters, and they're trying to match it or beat it every time they come back. They do have 1 minute to sign out of the rower, get back to the treadmills, and then get right back to base before they go back and hit that 3-minute push, 30-second all out. And that's it for the treads and the rowers. It's a lot of quick back and forth. From the tread to the rower, they only have 45 seconds. From the rower to the tread, they only have a minute, but they're constantly repeating what they do. So can they match? Can they maintain? Can they improve? When we look at the weight floor, this is also going to be very frantic over here. We're going to see another 7 blocks. Your odd blocks, we're going to be doing either 1 or 2 movements that will increase in reps. And then on the even blocks, we're going to be seeing a core-based add-on circuit. what I personally would do is during the first setup for each group, not only go over floor block 1, but also demonstrate floor block 2 movements. That way, that will help cut down the transition times because you're timed up with the treads as well. So, block 1, we're gonna see a single arm split stance high row. We're gonna do 6 reps on each arm, then 8, then 10, then 12. Rest once they've done both sides before they go up in the rep count. We're looking at pretty high reps and high rounds. We're trying to get up at least 3+. So I would see if they could start around light to moderate on that weight, not necessarily go heavy. That way they could quickly go from left arm to right arm, back and forth. This is gonna be a very high volume if they do it right. The second block, we're gonna see a dumbbell crunch hold with scissors right into 16 reverse crunches. They'll just do that as 1 round. And then they have, for the time remaining of those 90 seconds, the low plank alternating knee tap. So for that one, they're gonna be on their forearms, and then they're just gonna have one leg straight as they bend the other knee to the floor and the knee taps. They'll come back up, and then the other side. This is one where we wanna see minimal hip rotation. So as they drop the knee, we don't want the hip to drop with it as well. And because you only have 45 seconds between block 1 and block 2, this is why I kind of mentioned, hey, during that 2-minute floor setup, might as well demonstrate all of this. So that way, as we repeat these movements, it'll be very easy for members to remember. When we go to the third block, we're gonna see dumbbell split squats. They'll do 6, 8, 10, 12 on each leg. Keep working their way up. Same goal of trying to get 3+. And then on the fourth block, we got the crunch hold again, reverse crunches, but now we add the sprinter sit up. So with 45 seconds, you could acknowledge that sprinter sit up. You've already demonstrated the 2 harder movements with the crunch hold and that reverse crunch from before. They'll do 1 round and then hit that alternating knee tap for the time remaining. Now the 5th and the 7th block on the endurance focused longer blocks, we're gonna now see 2 movements, but they pair up pretty smoothly. So for the 5th block, we're gonna see a strap chest press right into the strap tricep extension, very heavy on the superset between like chest, triceps, shoulders. So this is one where they might progressively step further away from the wall to make it easier as the reps go up and as they fatigue. With the tricep extension, I like to use a cue of you have a volleyball between the elbows, so that way they're tucked in here rather than having the elbows flare out, and they really feel that stretch in the back of the arms. And then the 5th block, or the 6th block, we're back to that circuit one last time of the add-on. So after the sprinter sit-up, they'll have that crab alternate and toe tap, always a really tough one to do. You could do like a bridge hold with leg marches, or just do a bodyweight crab where they'll start with their hands down, hips down, and then they just lift the hips up and then come back down. So like a really big range of motion glute bridge with a little bit of a shoulder stretch as well. And then the final block, number 7, back to dumbbell work, and they're gonna do 6 reps of a hammer curl directly into 6 reps of a neutral grip shoulder press, and they'll keep working their way up on the reps. And then they just do that for their finisher as well. So if they finish out, 12 reps each, well, then they go to 14, then 16. So lots of movement. This is gonna be a true like burnout on the floor. And on the treads and the rowers is really about consistency more so than burning themselves out. The 3G is gonna look drastically different. This is not gonna be run as a switch, but it is also pretty quick paced. So the treads will be the same thing, except for there's no all out. So they're gonna see a 3-minute push into a 45-second walk recovery. And the goal here is to stay as close to the intensity from the first block. They'll do that 3 times. So 3-minute push, 45 walk, 3-minute push, 45 walk, 3-minute push, 45 walk. After the third block, instead of 45 seconds, they'll actually have 75 seconds to walk. And then for the 4th block, a little bit longer, it's a 3-minute push right into a 15-second all out. Now the first 3 blocks and the first 2 walk recoveries, that will encapsulate the longer row block that we'll see for the rowers. And they're gonna be doing a 250 meter all out row that will decrease by 50 meters each round. And that's gonna be paired up with a different med ball exercise depending on the first or second part. So in the first part, 250 meter all out, and they'll do an alternating knee raise with torso rotation with the med ball. So the left knee comes up, they'll turn to the left, place both feet down, right knee up, turn to the right. They'll do that with 250, 200, and then 150. Once they've done those 3 rounds with the med ball movement, they go back to 250 for an all out, and then they're gonna see the med ball front press. It's both feet on the ground, so it's not a single leg. They just keep that core brace as they extend the arms out and then right back in. Same thing, 250, 200, 150. Goal here is to try to increase the row intensity as the rows get shorter. So decrease in the split time or an increase in wattage or the average watts. If they complete all 6 rounds, then they'll row until the end of that 10.5 minutes. The second block is going to be a 30-second all-out row with a 30-second recovery row. And they're looking to maintain the row on each intensity. This is going to be timed up with people on the weight floor, which I'll explain in just a second. Same thing, you'll have a minute 15 to explain that setup after they finish the row block. Now, when we look at the weight floor, we're going to see blocks 1 and 3 and 7 from the 2G here for just 3 minutes each. So they'll have the split stance high row, split squat, and then the hammer curl to shoulder press between blocks 1, 2, and 3 for this group. Same thing, they got 45-second setup. So if anything, maybe demonstrate all 4 movements if you want. And then the 4th block, during that minute 15, they're gonna be doing a bodyweight crunch hold with scissors for 30 seconds into an active recovery bridge hold for 30 seconds. So a lot of, spinal flexion, getting that ab engagement for the crunch hold, and then for the bridge hold, neutral spine, working on posterior chain recruitment, squeezing the glutes, squeezing the hamstrings, just kind of passively stretching out the hip flexors that were, getting fired up from the scissors. They'll do a total of 3 rounds of that, and then they finish with a 15-second hollow hold. For that hollow hold, as always, imagine like banana shapes. The lower back is kind of flattened out into the ground, shoulders are slightly lifted, biceps are kind of up by the ears. If that's a little bit too much, they could have the hands up towards the ceiling. Feet are extended out. If that's pretty tough, they can pull the knees in slightly. Main thing is really trying to keep that lower back glued to the floor as they kind of pull the belly button down into the spine. That's gonna be the 3G for this workout. Very fast paced from y'all, so be on top of transitions and times, and don't let members dictate the time itself. If they're not moving, then you start demoing, and that's on them. You count them down to the next block, and if they're not ready, that's on them. So that's all I got for you on this one. Coach it down, y'all.